Hey guys, what's up? Today I'm going to show you how to paint a gun. I've done a couple guns in my life, and there's not really too much to it. People make a big deal out of it, like you gotta clean everything perfectly and tape everything off and take it apart. Not true. I do have this KJW M700 torn down in front of me here, but I'm sort of in the middle of figuring out how to disassemble it anyway, so I figured let's paint it while I have it taken apart. But you don't need to take it down. You'll just have to do a little bit more taping than when you have parts that you just leave out and parts that you're going to paint. So I have this. The next step is going to be to tape it off. Now with painting, the main thing is figuring out where you want paint and where you don't want paint. My general rule of thumb, if it rubs against something, you leave it alone, or if it's mechanical. For example, this bolt. I don't want paint anywhere near this. It's a somewhat of a precision piece, and you definitely don't want to be getting in the way of the function or the way it interacts with other parts. So keep paint off anything that's related to the operation of the gun, like an air nozzle or any of the internal stuff, and you're not even going to see it, so why would you paint it? I might paint the handle itself, so I would take the bolt off and just leave the handle exposed and paint that. Another thing is things that rub. For example, this rail that goes on top of the receiver that the scope mounts to. Now it's a small part and it's external and it is visible, but I would leave it alone, just because when you're mounting a scope onto it, it's going to be very tight, and when you clamp it down and then you go back to take it off, it's going to be glued down, just because the paint, it must have a very slow curing process, or just that pressure kind of makes it an adhesive. I've done this before where I painted the rail and then I clamp on an optic and to go take it off, and I'm taking the paint off, I'm shaking the whole gun just to get the optic off. So don't paint rails. That's the general rule of thumb. Leave that alone. On something like the scope, I'm going to mark off all the parts that have any kind of type or numbers on them, just because I want to have that point of reference for when I actually go back to dial it in. But I think almost everything else is fair play. So what I'm going to do now is tape off all the parts I don't want to paint, and then I'll come back and show you what that looks like. And some of these parts I'm just going to take out altogether, because there's absolutely no reason to paint this internal barrel and the hop-up system. And I'm going to leave this trigger mechanism intact as is, the rail, the magazine, stuff like that. It's just going away. I'm primarily painting the scope, the external barrel, and the body itself, which is now gutted, and really there's really not much to even tape off here. Just again, like I said, parts where something comes in contact, like where this trigger group or this magwell trigger guard area drops in. I'm going to tape this off, so when this goes back in, it's not rubbing against here. So it's pretty much just common sense. Paint what you see, what's going to be visible to the opponents, and any of the internal stuff or any stuff that's essential to function, leave it alone. So I'm going to tape it off, I'll be back, and you'll see what that looks like before the painting begins. Alright, so I got everything taped off. Here on the receiver, on the stock, I experimented with the new technique. I thought it was going to be great. It would fill up inside of the magwell and I wouldn't have to tape anything in there. Unfortunately, that's not how it worked. It looks like two balloons jammed into a gun, exactly what it looks like. It's helping a little bit. I think this would be great for painting something or blocking off something that's cylindrical or round in shape in general, but not for something that's this odd shape with so many angles and so skinny. So I blocked the magwell off inside where the barrel would lay and the rubber butt pad on the end. On the optic, obviously you want to tape off the glass. That's your number one priority. Then I taped off anywhere there's numbers, and down here as well where the part that's going to connect with the rail, because like I said earlier, you don't want paint on paint or metal on paint. That's just going to make for dry glue basically. The barrel I just capped off on either end. I stuffed some paper in there. It's not that important because this is a non-functional barrel, but why not keep it clean inside? On the bowl, what I like to do is if I have a large part of the whatever I'm painting to cover up, I'll put it in the bag. So I got this in the bag, and then only part that's protruding is the part I'm painting, and I just wrap some tape to keep the bag from flopping around. The rest is just little stuff, nothing to get into too much detail about. So this part's ready to go. I'm going to take it outside and start priming it, and I'll be using this primer, and that's just to give the paint a nice base coat. It's like glue for the paint, think of it that way. You could go straight with the colors and they'll probably work pretty well, but if you wanted to stay on and stay on well, I would suggest primer. So I'm going to coat everything in that. After that dries, I'm going to start applying a light coat. You always want to go from light to dark because it's easier to make something darker than lighter. So I'm probably going to go with this light coat and some of this, some green, some brown, and then it's just going to be a little bit add this or add that type thing till I get it looking the way I want it. Take it outside, keep it ventilated, eye protection's good, and I'm going to start priming it and you'll see the process. Alright, so it's raining outside for the second time this year, and it's night, so I'm going indoors. But I got the base coat on here, the kind of medium tan. Unfortunately, my light color was having some issues, so I just went with the kind of medium coat. I'm going to start adding some greens and browns, and then if it's too dark at the end, I'm going to go back and add some light tans. So I'm going to use this mesh from some old kid's toy or kid's bath thing, but you could get a laundry basket, or you could just use twigs or sticks or just freestyle it all over the place. It doesn't really matter. It's all just kind of, you go by feel. So let's start adding some textures. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with how it's looking. I'm gonna lay it next to some gear and see where the color's at, and if it's close, I think I'm done. And then it's off to the reassembly part. Yeah, it's a pretty good match, I think. Alright, I think I'm done. So let's start taking the blue tape off everything. I'm gonna take it over here.
I'm trying to do it, but I need to
Take those balloons out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did you put them in?
I had to use them, I needed them.
Why did you use them on princess balloons?
Oh, relax. Here, take it out. Take the tape from here. This is easy.
Like a potato. Yeah, potatoes.
Two potatoes now.
Well, don't just use them again.
You want to help me take out blue tape, or are you just going to yell the whole time?
You just have to cook these potatoes.
Well, here it is, the end result. I've reassembled the rifle and I've shot it today a lot, probably like 100, 150 rounds through it, which is a lot for a sniper rifle. And it seems to be dead accurate, everything seems to be working fine. It is stock otherwise than from where I started. The only thing I got for it is this Action Army, I believe is the brand, extended magazine. This is a replica of the Tanaka magazine, holds 28 rounds. And what I'm thinking of doing is adding some of the sniper netting here, maybe on the barrel, maybe a little bit on the scope, to where it doesn't get in the way of anything, but breaks up that outline some more. And I might wrap some of these bungees on it as well, just to give it a little bit more of a break-up look. So I'm gonna finish up here, but as you saw, this is basically the process to painting a rifle. It paints on there really good. I've already used it, as I mentioned, and there seems to be no wear. It seems to be as good as the minute it was when I finished painting it. A little bit on the bolt here, but that kind of stuff, I think it actually adds to the look when you get scratches and scuffs. Makes it look more used, more authentic. So there's not much to painting a rifle. You just block off important stuff that you don't want to get painted, and then you just use your imagination, do something creative. Use twigs, use leaves, use the mesh, whatever look you're going for. Play around with the colors. I hope you guys found this tutorial. Check out my other stuff, and I'll see you on the next one.